Hello everyone, welcome to Event Digital class. So in today's lecture of computer organization, we will discuss some other buses, that is our PCI bus, SCSI bus and USB bus. In the previous lecture, we have already discussed about serial port and parallel port. So today we will discuss about some other ports and also the buses which are connected in that port and their characteristics. So let's go to the first type, that is our PCI bus. So PCI stands for Peripheral Component Interconnect Bus, and it is developed by Intel company in the year of 1993, and it is basically used for interfacing processor with its chipset. That means in the processor there are multiple chips which are present in that processor, and also it performs some extra works, and to give the interface to perform the data transfer between the chips which are present in that processor, we use the PCI bus, and it is widely used for giving the interface, and also it is very successful, and it is much faster than ISA buses, that is our industry standard architecture buses. It is previously used this standard, but nowadays we are using this PCI bus. It is our Peripheral Component Interconnect bus. Then let's see what are the features of that PCI bus. First of all, it supports the synchronous bus architecture. What do you mean by synchronous? Synchronous means the data transfer in this PCI bus is controlled by a clock, or you can say there is some clock signals which is generated by the clock circuit, and that clock signal controls the data transfer in this bus. So this will follow the synchronous bus architecture, or you can say synchronous bus protocol. And this PCI bus is of 64-bit addressing, and then the data transfer which is followed in this PCI bus is our linear bus mode of data transfer, and then this bus transfers the electric signals in a larger bandwidth, and then the PCI operates at 66 MHz and at 33 MHz. It supports larger bandwidth type of data transmission, and it operates on this frequency, that is our 66 MHz to 33 MHz, and then it supports plug and play protocol. And then next one is this is the hierarchy of the system. Here is our microprocessor, and here is our DRAM, that is our dynamic RAM of the system BIOS. Then here is the cache memory, and then this is our resident local buses. Okay, and here is our PCI bus. So this bus, or you can say this is the local bus, is performed in the 100 MHz, but this PCI bus, as I have discussed in my previous slide, that it operates at 66 MHz, and the components which are connected to this PCI bus is our video components and disk controller components, and there is a PCI bus controller which transfers the data from this PCI bus to this residential local bus. And this ISA bus is here, and it is operates at the frequency of 8 MHz. So you can imagine the operation in the IS bus is slowest as compared to this PCI bus, and the PCI bus is slower than this resident local bus. And to transfer the data from this ISA bus to the PCI bus, there is a ISA bus controller, and then there is one printer interface circuit is connected to this type of bus, and also faxer modem. So basically this PCI bus is used to connect the peripherals, that is our video and the disk controllers. Okay, so next one is our USB bus. So USB stands for Universal Serial Bus. Okay, and nowadays we are using this USB bus at many places. and these buses is basically used to connect the keyboards, mouse, and also there is USB connection or USB bus we are using in our mobile phones for charging and also for doing the data transfer. And this is a picture of a USB bus, and there is some versions of USB bus, and it is very well known connection port available on your PC is our USB port. Okay, and then USB is an acronym for Universal Serial Bus, or you can say the full form of the USB is our Universal Serial Bus. And then the change that has been caused by this standard and its wide application is definitely mentionable. That means whatever the problems arises of using the PCI bus, or you can say PCI bus cannot use that at every places of the computer system. So there are some change which is made in this USB bus and which causes this standard is so usable and its wide application it has to be mentioned. And then USB was created by a core group of companies that consist of Compaq, Digital, IBM, Intel, and Northern Telecom and Microsoft. So these group of companies are the members of the core group which is created this USB. So this is the diagram, and this part is connected to the device and this is connected to the CPU. So this is our USB port and this cable is called as our USB cable. Then what are the features of USB? It is a maximum of 127 peripherals can be connected to a single USB host controller. So if we are having a USB host controller as the PCI controller and the ISA controller, by using that controller device at a time we can connect 127 peripherals to the system. Then USB device has a maximum speed up to 480 megabits per second for USB 2.0. Okay, there are different types of USB cables, and nowadays we are using USB in the C type, which is in the special type of mobile phones. But in previously we are using the USB 2.0 version. Then length of individual USB cable can reach up to 5 meters without a hub and 40 meters with hub. So by using this USB cable or USB bus, we can transmit the data up to 5 meters without any central device, or you can say that is our hub. But if we will use some components or some devices to transmit that for a larger distance, then we can transmit it up to 40 meters. Okay. Then USB acts as plug and play device. Okay, that means you have to plug it to the CPU or to connect any type of controller device, and then you can perform any type of operations. The USB can draw power by its own supply or from a computer. That means to perform the operation by using this USB bus, it may need some power. So it draw the powers by its own, or you can say there is no special type of power cable which is connected to this USB to do the operations, and either by the own supply or from the computers. Then USB devices use power up to 5 voltages and deliver up to 500 megaamperes. So the USB device which are used or which are connected to the computer system, they uses the power from the 5 voltage to 500 megaamperes. Okay. And then if a computer turns into power saving mode, some USB devices will automatically convert themselves into sleep mode. So let's take an example that the USB port is widely used nowadays, and we use this in the keyboard and also in the mouse. And when the mouse is connected to the system, then at that point of time there is a red color LED which is present in the mouse. It has to be on, so that it indicates the mouse is connected to the device successfully and we can perform the operations now. And for doing that, to switch on that device, it may need some power. So the power is delivered by the system to the devices. And also the computer system, when that main system, or you can say the system which is connected to the peripherals is switched off, or it is in the power saving mode, then automatically the devices or the peripherals which uses the USB bus is connected to the device, that is automatically going to its sleep mode. Or you can see also in the practically that when we shut down our computer system, at that point of time, automatically the keyboard and the mouse, it goes to its power off mode. Okay, so that is the concept of USB. So let's go to the next concept, that is our SCSI. Before going to SCSI, let's see the applications of USB. So as I have discussed, that USB connections are used to connected computer peripherals such as mouse, keyboards, digital cameras, printers, flash drives, joysticks, scanners, modems and some other storage device, or you can say also the hard disk. And this USB bus is used to connect more number of devices as compared to other buses, and it has become common on other devices such as phones and PDAs. So the wide use of USB is in the our smartphones and also the PDAs. Then next one is our SCSI bus. So SCSI stands for Small Computer Systems Interface. So it is developed by Subrat Associates in the year of 1981, and it is originally called Subrat Associates System Interface, that is our SASI, but after some years it is named as Small Computer System Interface. Then there are set of standards for physically connecting and transferring data between computers and peripheral devices. So in the SCSI bus, we follow some standards which, or you can say on the basis of that standards, the physical connections and the data transfer takes place between the system and the peripheral devices. Then SCSI ports allows data to be transmitted in a daisy-chain way. I have already discussed about daisy-chain way when I have discussed about the handling multiple devices in the chapter of interrupt. So you can go through that lectures for detail of the daisy-chain concept. And then up to 8 or 16 devices can be attached on a single SCSI bus. In the USB we can connect 127 peripherals, but here by using this SCSI bus, or you can say by using a single SCSI bus, we can connect 8 or 16 devices. Then SCSI uses handshaking signal between devices, and handshaking is the concept which is used in the asynchronous buses, and so it follows the asynchronous bus protocols as it uses the handshaking signal when the data transfer takes place between different types of devices, where the PCI bus uses the synchronous bus architecture or the protocols. Then this is the small diagram of the SCSI bus. So here is our CPU and memory, and access to the host of memory. So it is the SCSI host adapter, and this is our SCSI bus. So here is our SCSI device controller. As there is a device controller must be in every bus architecture. In the USB bus there is USB controller, in the PCI there is PCI bus controller, and also in the SCSI bus there is SCSI device controller. And each SCSI device controller is connected to different peripheral devices, and this controller is connected to the hard disk, and next one is our connected to the printers, and next one is our CD-ROM, like this. So in the computer system we can also use multiple SCSI device controller, but in a single SCSI bus, as you can see here, multiple devices can be connected or can be transmit the data by using a single SCSI bus. And here some other devices also can be connected, and the device range is up to 8 to 16. Okay, so this is the phases of transmission of the SCSI bus. First, our bus free phase, then is our arbitration phase. In the arbitration phase, we have to choose the bus master. Then the selection phase to transmit the data, and whatever the data will be transmitted, that has to be chosen in this message phase. And then command phase, data in phase, status phase, message in phase, and bus free phase. We will discuss it one after another. So in the bus free phase, the bus system, the SCSI bus may be free for a little as 1 to 1.2 per second while there is no device requesting the bus. Okay, so when the system is busy to transmit the data, then it may be free some period of times, so that some device can use that bus. Okay, and if the bus is free, it could remain free indefinitely. If that bus will be free, then it will be free for infinite period of times. Then arbitration phase, a device can arbitrate and be granted the bus in 3.6 millisecond or less, and devices that lose arbitration can try again when the bus is in free state. So first, if one device is selected as master, then another device has to wait up to the next bus free phase. Then in the selection phase can select the target in 580 nanosecond, and if the target does not respond, the bus waits for 250 millisecond and then enters the free phase. And then in the message phase, it first the information transfer to the connections, and which allows the initiator to send the identification message to the target. And then the SCSI messages are always transferred asynchronously, as I have discussed in my slide, that it follows the handshaking protocol. And then next one is our command phase. So in the command phase, the target responds to the inquiry data or the addresses which is transmitted by the master. And then in the data in phase, the data transfer can be done synchronously if both the initiator and the target have previously established a synchronous data transfer agreement. So the data transfer between the initiator and the target, or you can say the master and the slave, is in the synchronous bus structure if they are transmitted or they follows the synchronous data transfer previously. Then the target finally sends a single bus, or you can say the single status byte asynchronously during status phase. So basically the message phase, or you can say the data when transmitted, it follows both the protocols asynchronous and synchronous. Okay, but when the data transfer is initiated, then it follows the synchronous data transfer if that device which are transfers, they use that previously, and the target, or you can say the slave, sends the data which is requested by the master by using asynchronous protocol. Then message in phase, the last information that is transferred in the established connection is typically the command complete message during the message in phase. So after transmission of the data to the master, then another command complete message, that means the data transfer is completed, is sent in this type of phase. And there is another bus free phase. The target device releases the bus busy signal and returns to the bus free phase, and now the bus is available and other device can also use the bus for the transmission. Okay, in the bus free phase, the target device releases the bus busy signal and returns the bus free phase again, and after entering into the bus free phase, that means it go to the first phase and the bus is now free, so that some other device can use that bus. Okay, so this is all about our PCI bus, USB bus and SCSI bus with their features. So in the next class of computer organization, we will discuss a new concept, that is our pipelining. Okay, till then keep watching. Thank you.